Hello and welcome to Countdown to Stokercon. I am your host, David Agranoff. But if you're watching the Zoom, on both sides of me are two other San Diego experts, and James Jensen and Eunice McGill. And so if you missed this live, it's okay. You can also post questions in the comments for the video, and I will try to answer them. Sarah Faxon is going to do a little bit of it, is going to answer any of the questions you have about the actual show, the con, the programming to the best of our knowledge. Now, keep in mind, folks, we're still putting stuff together, so stuff will change and stuff will get better. One thing too is we're going to talk about how to get from the airport, how to get to your hotel, and how you can, and favorite places to visit in San Diego and things you can do around the city outside of the con if you want to do that kind of stuff. And we'll talk about how you can get there. And it is my mission to make sure you don't waste money renting a car for StokerCon, because we have a pretty decent public transportation system. It's not as good as Portland, I admit that, but it's pretty good, and you'll be able to get yourself around. When we moved back from Portland, I was convinced we needed a car, and Carrie was like, no, let's not do that. And we've been fine for 7 years without having a vehicle in this city. So on that note, Sarah, do you want to tell the folks who you are, what you do, and talk about the con a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, David, for hosting this. Like you said, my name is Sarah Faxon, and I am one of the co-chairs of the San Diego Car Writers Association chapter. I'm also part of the StokerCon planning committee. And so thank you all so much for being here today to get some answers for our amazing city here. We're so excited to welcome everybody here. And so just kind of give you all a brief overview of where we are right now. We are having regular meetings about panels. We've been getting everybody's panels ideas together, trying to make as many people happy as possible. It is quite a big task, and we understand that we're not going to be able to answer everybody for that, but we are so grateful for all of the comments and feedbacks that we received to make this conference as customized to what everybody wants as possible. So it's been a lot of fun. We're hoping to get that more set in stone here in the next few weeks. So keep an eye out on Sketch to keep seeing what's going to be posted there. So far, we have Librarians Day pretty well situated. So if you have any interest in Librarians Day, that's one of the first really solid plans that we have for the con. And we're almost done putting together our volunteer needs as well. We have about 20 volunteer positions that'll be available, maybe a little bit more. And we've had an incredible engagement from our San Diego and local community to volunteer for those positions. So keep an eye out for that as well if you signed out or signed up for those. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We're really excited, and we can't wait to see you all here in May. Does anybody have any questions? And maybe I could try to pretend to answer.
Yeah, and I don't want to leave a ton of dead silence, but you can jump in as for the programming questions. Sarah, just to lead a little bit on that, what I think people are, so when are the announcements going to be made about when panels are going to be scheduled and when people can find out about that? That's one thing I know people want to know.
Yeah, we don't have an exact date for when that'll be available yet, but once we do have a more firm idea, we will blast that on all social media so that everybody's aware, and we'll also send out a notice to everybody's emails. So whatever email you signed up for, that's where we'll be making those announcements.
Okay. Programming questions. Okay. Looks like we can get into a little bit about the city. Well, I can't believe you get even that we have a small group here, but this is your chance to ask programming questions. Most and everything's all at the one hotel, right? We don't have to go to another location for any of that other than the concert, right? Concert.
Correct. The concert, and I believe there's another event that's not StokerCon directly, but it's a big part of our community, which is happening on Wednesday, I believe. It's a fundraising event, yeah. Spirited Giving, down at the San Diego Downtown Public Library. So the concert will be at the Casbah, and everything else will be at the Marriott.
And the Spirit of Giving's at the Central Library. So why don't we start there? Let's talk about how you can get well, no, let's do the airport. And then again, Sarah's going to be here for a little bit. So if a programming question comes up, you can jump in at any time and ask her. And but as far as the airport goes, I know this is the biggest concern. Yes, and Victoria, I'll get to restaurants and favorites in a little bit. So I see that in the comments. So for the airport, one thing you should know about the airport right now at San Diego is they're building a new terminal. So there's only one terminal at the airport right now. And so it makes for a little bit of chaos because all the flights are going into one terminal at this time. But that also makes it a little bit easier for transportation. I literally am flying home to Indiana on Thursday. So I'm going to shoot video coming back from the airport, and I will make a little video that will show you exactly how to navigate. But the San Diego airport is not very huge, and especially right now with only one terminal, it's pretty easy to get your baggage and do all that. And straight out the door from the terminal, there's a walkway and a parking garage that you have to cross like a bridge, and then that's where the stop for the San Diego Flyer is. There's two ways you can take public transportation from the airport. There's a bus called it's the bus number 992 that goes every 10 to 15 minutes from the airport to downtown. So that is very easy, and that has like a luggage rack and everything. So that comes in and out of the airport. That one is right outside the door from the baggage claim. And you can take that downtown and you can catch the Green Line trolley to the hotel from downtown at the Santa Fe Depot, which is the train station. So it's the same place where you pick up Amtrak in downtown San Diego. But the free shuttle, which James just posted the link to, is the San Diego Flyer. And that you have to go, there's a specific stop that's near the parking lot across the bridge. At least it was last time I flew. It might be different. I will get more details on that. And like I said, I'm going to post a video because I'm going to be taking it. I usually take the shuttle from downtown from where I live, but the free shuttle goes to the Old Town Transit Center. And that's probably the smartest way because that's also free, whereas you have to pay for the 992 bus. But if you take that to the Old Town Transit Center, that is a major public transportation hub that goes all over the county from there. And you can pick up the trolley. There's two trolley lines that go through there, the blue line and the green line. But what you need is the green line heading towards, it'll say Santee. And I'll type out all these directions between now and the con too. And the green line to Santee goes right to the hotel. And it's about from Old Town, let's see, it would be 3 stops on the trolley. And it's the Rio Vista transit, or the Rio Vista trolley stop. And you'll get off, cross the tracks, go down a ramp. You'll cross at one corner and there's the Marriott. That's how close it is. So it's really easy transportation. Now, what you'll want to do is I'm assuming most of you who are travelers will be using smartphones. But there's an app called Pronto that you get on your phone.
I put it in the I put the link in the chat.
Yeah.
David.
Yeah. And funny and interesting trivia about this is that many of the bus systems in the country use the same app. So for example, my Hop app from Portland comes on all the time on my phone when I'm using it. So those of you coming from Portland might be able to use your Hop app to pay for it. But the Pronto app, why you would want to get the local one, is that you can do trip planners right on the phone, where you can put in the address, and then it also has a button at the bottom for next departure. And if you're online, it will tell you exactly when the next bus is coming. It will do trip planning for you, and you can pay with a QR code on the Pronto app. So I would suggest getting the Pronto app before you come here, and you can load like $15 on there or whatever. And every time you ride the bus or the trolley there, you can scan it, and it's really simple. But the best part about using the Pronto app is that you can do the trip planners and the next departures. So that's why I would seriously suggest getting that. Now, if you don't have a smartphone, when you get to Old Town, you can take the free shuttle to Old Town, and then you can buy, they have a little machine, and you can buy a Pronto card, and you can put like $5, $10 on it, and it's $2.50 a ride. And then you get like 2 hours for every $2.50. If you spend a certain amount a day, then you've got a day pass, and you don't have to, for example, if you go a bunch of places during the day, you can earn a day pass, and then it's only like what, $5, James, or something like that for the day pass. And but the card operates just like that. But you obviously, if you have the card, you can't do next departures and you can't do trip planners on it, but you can pay for it with the card. And the card just spits out of the machine, and it gives you change in $1 coins, which is fun. Yes, I will talk about the Overflow Hotel, Robin. Yeah, so there was a question about the Overflow Hotel. The Overflow Hotel is also is on the trolley line too. And the Overflow Hotel is actually 2 stops from the Old Town Transit Center at the Fashion Valley Mall. The only issue with the Overflow Hotel is that it's a little bit of a walk from the trolley station.
But not much.
But not much.
It's not scary. It's not a scary walk.
No, it's just like a sidewalk, and there's a park, and it's just that and actually there's less traffic in that area than there is by the main hotel. So because the main hotel is right off Texas Street, which is a major thoroughfare. So but the Fashion Valley Mall is like this big, huge, fancy mall, and so there's also movie theaters there. So if you're staying there and you want to catch a movie or whatever, that's like a really great place. The only other issue, it won't be an issue at the end of May and June, is that the Fashion Valley area floods really easily, which right now we're getting like a ton of rain. So it would, but that won't be an issue later. We'll be back in drought season by then. But as far as in the Town and Country is a brand, they've just redid all of that. So the people that are staying at the Overflow, I'm assuming the Town and Country is in really nice shape, because they just
I was just there.
Yeah, it's really, really nice.
It's freaking sweet.
Yeah. So it's not the worst to be in the Overflow. And if you're at the Overflow, it's easy to get to the main hotel. It's only 1 trolley stop, or 2 trolley stops. It's 2 trolley stops, excuse me, between Fashion Valley and Rio Vista. And yeah, so as far as, so that's like one of the things about and Victoria, I'll get to your question about the 4 a.m. You might want to take an Uber for that, actually, if your flight back is at 4 in.the.morning, because one thing about the San Diego transit system is really good, but it does not go overnight. And if you get super late, like on things, you might be better off taking an Uber, but it won't. From Victoria, do you know which hotel are you staying at? The main hotel? Sorry to make you unmute, but
let me bring up one point, David, is that a lot, unlike other big cities whose airport is like 20 miles outside of the city, The San
Yes.
Diego airport is
Yeah.
downtown. Like you come in and you see downtown and you see the trees and you see the bay. So you are not 20 miles out. You don't need a car. You're 6 miles from the hotel. That is
Yeah.
an easy, inexpensive taxi ride or Uber. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so yes, main hotel. Yeah. I would do an Uber if it's 6 miles. Uh but for the most part, the main day, I seriously suggest taking the free shuttle and the trolley for a couple of reasons. One, you'll get to see part of the city and it's not a bad train ride. But if you are adverse to crowds or something, it's not a bad Uber ride if you want to do that too. Not worth renting a car just to get that distance.
It handles hundreds of thousands of people at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
The trolley does.
Yeah. And and before we get into like sights and sounds of the city, the next thing I would say, I'm going to talk about the transportation to the Spirited Giving, which is at the Central Library. That you will get on if you want to go. That's downtown, and the Central Library is right next to the baseball stadium. And unfortunately, Spirited Giving is happening at the almost this very similar timing to the Padres game. So there's going to be a lot of people downtown, which for one thing makes parking very expensive. So if you were planning to drive, I would avoid that because parking will be like $40 everywhere because of the baseball game. That being said, because of the baseball game, it will be very festive downtown and there will be people everywhere. The San Diego Central Library is also hosting the next Countdown to Stokercon event, and they're being very supportive of Stokercon, which is really cool. The Central Library is beautiful. It's a 9-story building. It has a sky deck. It's very worth seeing. And so the Spirited Giving event is in the auditorium. But if you get a chance to go to the library, I highly recommend checking out the sky deck. There's 9 floors of books. It's a pretty cool thing to see. And James makes a good point. There's going to be extra trolleys going because of the Padres game. During Padres games, there's a lot more trolleys. They add cars going. And so what you'll want to do from the hotel to get to downtown, you'll take the green line to downtown, and you will have to, I think you will have to transfer to a blue line train to get through downtown, or you can walk. It's not too far from where the green line lets off at Santa Fe Depot, because the green line goes to the Mexico border after it leaves downtown. So, so if you don't want to go to San Ysidro and you don't want to go to Tijuana, thank you, Sarah, for coming. Blue line also goes to Mexico too. So that we'll talk about that. If you really do want to go to Mexico, that's a thing you could do. But to get downtown, that's how you'll want to go. The green line will also get you to the concert at the Casbah, but the concert's going to be going a bit later, so I would prepare to take an Uber back if you're planning to stay for the whole concert. Because the trolley is not super reliable late, but you can get there and you would get off at the Little Italy stop. And there's a lot of Italian restaurants and really fancy restaurants in Little Italy. So if you are going to the concert, do know that there's a lot of well-known restaurants and there's a lot of people walking around. It's a very festive environment in Little Italy, which is right outside of downtown. And as far as things to know about restaurants and things that are there, before we'll do restaurants and then we'll do tourist locations. I should admit right off the bat that for me, in talking about restaurants, I've been vegan for 30 years. So my restaurant recommendations are skewed towards vegetarian and vegan spots. And we have some good ones. But so James and Eunice might want to pitch in some after, or you know, places that they know. But I will tell you, two of the one of the most exclusive ones that's like kind of a hot happening one is Mothership, which is a sci-fi themed restaurant, and it looks like a spaceship inside. Make your reservations today if you want to do Mothership. Trust me. And Mothership is owned by the people who started a bar called Kindred, which is a very famous vegan metal themed, like stoner metal themed bar, and it's very, very popular. And their brunch there is incredible and off the rails. But it's in South Park, so it's a little bit of a distance from the hotel. And we are actually working on possibly having a Cthulhu prayer breakfast this year at Stokercon, so you might not want to miss that either. And so, but as far as restaurants go, another neighborhood, so the Gas Lamp downtown has a lot of famous restaurants. So that is one area that has a lot of famous restaurants. Little Italy has a ton of famous restaurants and fancy restaurants. And right up the hill from the hotel is my neighborhood, University Heights, and North Park and Hillcrest are right up the hill. And there are a ton of brew pubs in North Park. And North Park also has one of the best used bookstores on the West Coast with Verbatim Books. And so that's in the area that I would highly recommend going to Verbatim too. They have a great horror section. They're very supportive. We had our first Countdown to Stokercon event there. It's a great used bookstore. Yeah, Seaport Village is another one that Eunice just mentioned that's right downtown, right by where Comic-Con is held every year. I actually had somebody ask me something about online about wanting to see where Comic-Con was held, and I'm like, it's not being held there at that time, but the architecture of the convention center is very interesting. And if you are fascinated at seeing the building where Comic-Con is actually held, you can go downtown. There's a trolley stop right there at the convention center, and right behind it is Seaport Village, which is a beautiful little touristy spot that has lots of restaurants and stuff right on the bay. And so Seaport Village is a very nice place. And a great view of the Cornado Bridge, which is a enormous, huge bridge that is the idea of being on during an earthquake is very terrifying. I'm a horror writer too, so you know, hey, I thinking about this stuff. Old Town is one of the most famous tourist spots of San Diego. In my old job, we used to take our students to all the touristy spots in town. And one of the things about Balboa Park, Old Town, or La Jolla Cove is that you constantly hear tons of different languages being spoken when you walk around these areas, because there are tourists from all over the world all the time at these places. And so Old Town is where the transit center where you'll transfer from the airport. And Old Town is the oldest neighborhood in San Diego from the white colonialist takeover. And so some of the buildings have been there since 1760. And it has the haunted Whaley House. So I know like Lisa Morton's already got her place booked to go, or her trip booked to go to the Whaley House and do the ghost hunting thing. And Old Town has lots of Mexican restaurants and tortilla ladies like on the street making fresh tortillas that will melt in your mouth. They're amazing. So you can like just buy a fresh tortilla and stuff it in your face for like $1 or 50 cents or something like that. And it's super delicious. Highly recommend that in Old Town. Other tourist locations that you'll want to check out. Right up the hill from the hotel is Balboa Park. I'm an animal rights guy, so I don't know anything about the zoo and I don't want anyone going to SeaWorld personally, but but right up the hill in Balboa Park. It's a beautiful park. The park was built around the World Expo of like 1912, I think, or 1916. And the park is just absolutely beautiful. And it's worth going to Balboa Park to just walk around the park, especially at night. It is beautiful. We used to have the Horrible Imaginings Film Fest there, and it was just awesome walking around the park at night. I used to live, well, I live pretty close to it right now, anyways. But the park has tons of museums at Balboa Park. They're expensive, but I do believe there is a pass where you can buy a 1-day pass for all the museums. I don't know for sure because I had a pass for the museums through my work for years. And so I took advantage of it a lot. But there's the Museum of Us, which is the Anthropology Museum. There's the Natural History Museum, which is 4 levels, amazing. There's the Fleet Science Center, which is kind of like the kids' science thing. There's the San Diego Historical Society. There's a photograph museum. There's the art museum. There's 3 different art museums in Balboa Park. One is free, 2 cost. They're all really nice. And then there's the Japanese tea garden, which it's a meditation garden. It's amazing. And the international houses all in Balboa Park. There's the Air and Space Museum. There's a car museum. There's a Comic-Con museum. It's all in Balboa Park. And if you go there on Thursday nights, you might see me playing basketball in the gym there. So not that you would want to do that, and I'll probably not be playing that Thursday. But anyways, Balboa Park is a fun place. It's really cool. It's worth seeing. And then I would say there's 3 other touristy spots that I think are super fantastic that you don't want to miss if you are taking time to do these things. One is the Cabrillo National Monument, which is up on a hill over downtown, and the view from up there of the downtown is spectacular. And the view of the ocean, and there's a lighthouse there that's been there since the 1880s, I think. And you can go up and take a tour of the lighthouse. It is a national park, so it costs money to get in. There is a bus that goes there. I don't know how that works with taking the bus there, because I've always gone there as a school group. But I think if you go on the bus, you don't have to pay, but I would double check on that. But the view from up there is spectacular. It's the 88 bus that goes there. And then one other touristy place that I would recommend is La Jolla Cove, which is right by where James works. James works at Warwick Books right by La Jolla Cove, so you can visit James, buy a book from him. La Jolla Cove is a really neat little natural cove on the ocean, and there's a spot where the sea lions gather all the time. And there was a big fight to protect the sea lions. It was actually my friend Brian who sued the city to protect them. It's a really cool thing to be able to see the sea lions kind of hanging out and whatever. It sometimes, and that's right, you take the 30 bus from Old Town. It's a little bit of a long ride on the bus, so bring something to read, but you will get to see Pacific Beach, which is kind of a neat, it's the kind of the frat boy area of town, I would say.
Is that line open now that goes all the way to UCSD?
The trolley goes to UCSD and the UTC Mall, but it doesn't get you to La Jolla Cove.
But you can take it up that way and then take a car over to La Jolla.
Well, there's buses from there. Yeah, there's buses you could transfer to from the Blue Line train. Yes.
Actually, the Blue Line going up there is the faster way to go up there, and then you can catch the 30 there at the transit station at UTC, and that'll
take
get
it
you
back
into
the other way.
La Jolla.
Yeah. Yeah, you know better than me, James, because you work up there. So
Go there every day. The 50 yards from my home.
yeah. So yeah, La Jolla Cove is beautiful. And I know the next question is that a lot of you are probably wondering, like, hey, when am I going to jump in the ocean? Because I know some people coming from other parts of the country are going to want to see the Pacific Ocean. So let's talk about the different beaches and what are your options there. So there's obviously a ton of coastline here, and there's different beaches for different experiences. For example, I personally think the nicest beach in the San Diego area, if you just want a beach experience, is probably La Jolla Shores. Is probably the cleanest feeling water. Yes, and the ocean is always cold around here, but you get used to it. Trust me, you stand in it for a minute, your body adjusts. Well, James says he doesn't, but I feel like I adjust to it. So La Jolla Shores to me is the best beach experience, but it's a little bit far from the hotel. The easiest to get to would probably be either Mission Beach or Ocean Beach. Ocean Beach is my old neighborhood. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the FX show Terriers. It all took place in Ocean Beach. It was one of the best, like, canceled after one season shows ever. And it was all filmed in Ocean Beach, and it made Ocean Beach out to be this big city. But Ocean Beach is this little hippie surf town. And it's the weirdest of the kind of the beach community, so it's kind of fun for that. And they have an amazing dog beach. So if you're a dog person and just like actually like to just see dogs running around playing, go to OB, because right at the head of the San Diego River, there's a beach that's an off-leash dog beach. And you just, from Old Town, it's one bus, the 35 bus to Ocean Beach. And there, for example, there's vegan food options in OB. There's plant power, vegan fast food. There's also like a whole bunch of taco shops and stuff in OB. And hummus falafels great in OB. And so, and there's tons of bars and things. That's like a bar neighborhood for a destination for like nightlife in San Diego, but it's also like kind of the hippie surf area. So also that's where the only natural food co-op in San Diego is in Ocean Beach. So yeah, and I lived there for a long time. And so, but Mission Beach is right up on the other side of the river, and that beach also has an amusement park there called Belmont Park that has a wooden roller coaster that's always running. So I don't know if you're into wooden roller coasters. You can go to Mission Beach, and there's a boardwalk that goes all the way to Pacific Beach. And if you're into urban hiking, you can walk all the way up the coast to La Jolla from there. I have done it before. People think it's crazy to walk that far, but it's fun if you like urban hiking. Pacific Beach is definitely the kind of frat boy party part of town. But I don't know, maybe you'll be into that. And there's a pier there. The Ocean Beach has the longest pier on the West Coast, but it's been closed for like a year, and I think they're going to demolish it because it just, thanks to climate change, we have like higher tides, and it's been getting crushed every time we have storms. So the OB pier is generally closed. So just to let you know that. And let me think if there's anything else. Yes.
There's Coronado.
Oh yeah, Cornado Island. Good point. Across the bridge, there's a ferry that goes from downtown to Cornado Island, and that is a very nice beach. That is an incredible beach. I actually got married on that beach.
Hotel.
And for you horror people, there's a very important trivia for Cornado. Eunice, what book took place at the Hotel Del, written by a master of horror?
Not, you're
No,
not,
you don't know?
I'm not, it's not King.
No.
No.
Richard Matheson's Somewhere in Time, Bid Time Return.
Oh,
So the Hotel Del is the hotel where Somewhere in Time, the Richard Matheson novel, takes place.
it's not. horror
It-
novel, but
yeah. Well, it's a science fiction novel by a master of horror. Yeah. Okay. I'm surprised because you're the Matheson person. I
But
expect you to jump right on this.
you said horror, and my mind just went horror. And
Okay, I messed that up. So, but yes, Richard Matheson's novel "Bidden Time Return," aka Somewhere in Time. The movie was not filmed at the Hotel Del, but the novel takes place there, and Matheson actually wrote it there, which is trivia. So, it's worth a pilgrimage for Matheson dorks like me. I've already done that specifically because that's where it took place and where he wrote it. So it's kind of neat thing. And that's on the island. And Cornado is an island off the coast of San Diego, and so there is a bridge so you can drive across, and but you can take a ferry. And I believe you can pay on the Pronto app for the ferry. I could be wrong about that, but I would have money just in case I am wrong about that. If you take the ferry to Coronado, it is really short. It's not like the ferry to Victoria from Washington or anything like that, or it literally takes about 10 minutes. But it's nice. You get to see the bay. Doing it at sunset is really nice. I did that once. It was really cool. And the next thing I would say, oh yeah, and if you do want to go to Tijuana, if you do want to go to Mexico, I would recommend not doing that as a part of Stokercon, because for lots of reasons. But if for some reason you really want to go to Tijuana, and I want to say this carefully, Tijuana is like no place else in Mexico. Okay. Tijuana is a city. Yeah, you must have your passport. It is like there are very nice places in Mexico. Tijuana is not one of them. Tijuana, because of its place on the border, it is a very weird and interesting city. I have not gone in many, many years, but I've gone to Tijuana just to go see shows before. And the thing about it is there's a couple things you need to know. One, do not drive across the border if you rent a car. The wait to get across the border is insane in a car, and it takes much longer. You want to walk across the border, so taking the trolley and walking across the border is your best bet. And most everything that all the nicest stuff in TJ you can access really easily by walking across the border. There are some really nice restaurants and things like kind of in that revolution. I always say it wrong. The Revolution area that is right on the other side of the border. Here's the thing that a lot of people are going across the border to get dental work, to get free healthcare, cheap healthcare, pharmacy, all that stuff. And there is I can tell you from experience that it is very easy to get harassed by the police coming across as a gringo the other way. And when that happens, what you absolutely must not do is talk back to the police in that situation. I have been known to be very assertive about my rights when I've been pulled over and things like that. And I had a friend who's from Mexico who was like slapping my wrist and telling me to shut up the whole time when because the police have a tendency. Some of the worst harassment you'll get going over to the Mexico side is from the police. And so that's just a warning on that. Yeah, but that being said, there are nice things to do in TJ, but most importantly, just south of TJ, some of those little ocean towns are really, really nice. So if you plan a trip in the future to come back to San Diego, I'd recommend doing that. But I wouldn't do it this trip. I'd be focused on the con, and it will take you a long time to get there on the trolley from the con. And there's programming and fun things to do. that just wouldn't be where my focus would be. In fact, on all of these, I would suggest if you've already booked to have a day on each side of the con in order to do these kinds of things, that would be my recommendation, because I think there'll be so much fun stuff happening at the hotel. You won't want to go do a lot of that stuff while the con is happening. But if any of this sounds really cool, like, change your flight, add an extra day, hang out, do that stuff, it'll be fun. So
I think a good rule of thumb is this: you can get to just about any place in San Diego that's like fun and touristy by the trolley, or at least within the close proximity of the trolley. That's it. Trolley is your answer for just about everything.
And one bus, usually trolley and a bus. The buses will sometimes have some colorful characters on them, but that's part of traveling. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I've talked a lot, but that was the idea. Was to give you an overview. But if anybody has any questions, anything they want me to drill down on, places that things they want to see, things they want to know.
I think there were some questions about restaurants. If you don't want to go very far because of programming, you just take the trolley outside of the hotel, just like 1 or 2 stops down. We've got Fashion Valley Mall and Mission Valley Mall right there on the line. And there's a zillion restaurants right there. So from the hotel, it's not very far to restaurants.
Yeah, the Mission Valley Mall is kind of dead right now, but Fashion Valley has a lot. In the last year or two, the Mission Valley Mall is kind of like started.
But behind it and around it.
That's true. There are restaurants back there. Yeah,
lots of restaurants behind it and around it.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's true. One trolley stop down, there are a bunch of restaurants right there that are in a little shopping plaza. And also the 6 bus that takes you up the hill goes right to North Park. And North Park has some of the best restaurants, best brew pubs and restaurants in the city. I highly recommend Sips Asian Fusion is up there, is one of my absolute favorites. There's Rancho's Mexican is in North Park, and there are a lot of really famous brew pubs. There's the Bivouac hard cider place, which I don't drink, so I don't know, but my wife says it's amazing, like hard cider place that's right up on the 6. And yeah, and if you take the 6 up the hill to North Park, you will see the insane hill I walk up every day after work. And you will be like totally amazed that I walk that hill every day. But on that funny note, but yeah, and then that area in Hillcrest, which is one neighborhood over, so it'd be like 2 buses. Hillcrest has a ton of great restaurants. That's the Gayborhood, as they call it. It's the gay district of San Diego. And so like you can see the Stonewall flag and all that stuff is all up there. And there's like lots of rad stuff going on in Hillcrest too. And my absolute favorite restaurant in town, which is Veganic Thai in Hillcrest, which is where I would have my last meal if I was told I was leaving the city forever or something. But yeah.
A good thing to remember too is in a lot of these places, there's no parking. That's why a car is like useless. Just don't even bother.
Oh, another restaurant it's a hole in the wall. It's built into a house, but there's a Lebanese bakery in North Park called Mama's Lebanese Bakery with fresh baked sage bread, and the eggplant wraps there are absolute bangers. My father, who was a world traveler, said it was the best Middle Eastern food he had outside of the Middle East. Right there in North Park. Yeah, so the name of the favorite Thai restaurant is Veganic Thai. It's an all vegan Thai place. It's absolutely amazing. We have over 300 Thai restaurants in San Diego County. I'm shitting you not, 300. And so there are no shortage of good Thai restaurants all over the place. Veganic is my personal favorite. White Elephant in Hillcrest is really well regarded. Plumeria in Uni Heights. But I mean, literally, there are 300 Thai restaurants. OB has 2 really fancy Thai restaurants that are well regarded. So yeah, there's a ton for Thai restaurants. And of course, we're known for our Mexican food. So I mean, you really want to do if you really want to do Mexican food, again, I might not be the best source because I'm going directly to the vegan ones, but Ranchos in North Park is a family run, amazing. Like, it's not all vegetarian, but they are very vegan friendly. We have Tacotarian. We have Pokies downtown, which is really well known and is amazing food, but has the worst service on the planet. So maybe not go to Pokies because you might be waiting the entire weekend for your food. But when it comes, it's great. But there are taco shops everywhere here. And so if you're really into Mexican food and taco shops, I'm not the person to ask, but I would look around for suggestions on that. Late night suggestions. That's interesting because San Diego, I will tell you this, San Diego does not stay open late. A lot of places. That is something I cannot. And I'm trying to think of, well, North Park has a lot of places that stay open for like the brew pubs and stuff like that. And that's right up the hill. So that's not too far. So yeah, I would suggest probably North Park for that. And then, we have 2 very famous pizza places that people talk about all the time. TNT Pizza downtown. I have yet to have it. In our neighborhood, we have, like, right up the hill, we have Red House Pizza, which is like a block away from my house, and it's so dangerous. The Red House Pizza is a block away from my house. It is so amazing. That is some of the best pizza you can get. Yeah, room snacks. Let me see. There's a Trader Joe's not too far from the hotel. It would be like a 1 or 2 stops on the 6 bus to
Oh, yeah.
the Trader Joe's in
It makes
Mission Valley.
Yeah. Mhm.
And the other thing up the hill, there's Sprouts, which is a smaller grocery health food chain that got bought out by Whole Foods, but they still have their own generic brands of stuff. But yeah, I think the most convenient would be that Trader Joe's, not too far from the hotel. In fact, I don't think it would be much of a walk. I think it would be like a 20 or 30-minute walk each way to the Trader Joe's. And it's right on the 6 line. So yeah. And Trader Joe's probably be the best bet. And there's also I think there's a Ralph's right around there too. But
some grocery stores right there. Talk about the weather. May gray and June gloom.
yeah, so we're known for our sun, but there in the morning, what happens is that we have what we call May gray and June gloom. So in the morning, it can be a little chilly because clouds come in off the ocean in the morning, and they usually burn off by noon-ish.
If
Yeah. And then so what I learned the hard way when I first moved here is that I would wear a sweatshirt and dress warm because it was cold when I left for work. And then when I was going home, I was sweating balls because I had too much stuff on. And then I'd be like, so I just had to figure out that, you have way different temperatures between morning and afternoon. So that was a good point, Eunice. Well,
yeah.
it's like you've lived here your whole life.
What?
Yeah.
I'll always live there in my heart. Okay. Always.
Yes. And so yeah, June gloom, May gray is a big thing to know about because yes, it will be chilly in the morning. And because we are on the edge of the desert, when the sun goes down,
Ooh.
it gets cold. Yes. So it can be very warm during the day, but it's like kind of nippy at night because we are on the edge of the desert. So technically we're a desert climate, just close to the ocean. So for those reasons, definitely bring a sweatshirt. But I moved here so I could wear shorts year round. So, it's not too cold. Yeah. Yeah. The last green line leaves downtown at 12:30 a.m. But one thing too about that is that the one before it was probably 11:45 or 12. So they don't run often after like 9 or 10 o'clock. So just keep that in mind too, because you might stand at a trolley station for like a long time. And I should mention that Old Town, where you're going to be transferring, can be a little sketchy because there's all kinds of people coming in and out there. They have increased security there a lot in the last couple months or last year or so. So there are usually are almost always security guards walking around and police patrol. So it's safe. It just it may look a little like a rogues gallery for a little bit. You might see some activity, but there is always security there at Old Town, even at night. So if you're transferring through Old Town at night, it can seem a little desolate, but there's almost always security guards there. So
just to be also on that note, we do have a very large homeless population in the downtown area. And a large area is around the library downtown.
Yes.
So be mindful of that. As he said, there are a lot of security around on the trolley lines, but do be mindful that if you decide to venture off of the main touristy areas down there, there are some sketchy areas downtown that you need to avoid. Stay in the main tourist areas. If you're going to go downtown, go to the gas lamp quarters, stay in the main areas there. When you go over, if you decide to go over to Seaport Village and the restaurants over there, once again, stay in the main areas as well.
Yeah. But overall, San Diego is a pretty safe city. So, yeah. But on that note, there any other questions?
Yeah, I have one. I missed the first half hour, so you probably already covered it, but does the hotel have any shuttle from the airport?
I don't think that the hotel specifically does, but it's right on the trolley line. So it's really easy to get to.
Oh, it is on the trolley. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, great.
Yeah. And you can go back and watch the beginning of the video where I explain that. And I'm going to post a video where I take the trip from the airport to the hotel. So
No, I'm not worried about that. I lived in San Diego about 50 years, so I just didn't know the trolley went to the airport.
Oh,
no, the trolley doesn't go to the airport, but there's a shuttle that goes from the airport to Old Town Transit Center.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, a free shuttle. It's called the Flyer.
Whatever they call that train thing that goes around.
Yeah,
the trolley.
The trolley. They call it the trolley. Yeah, I use it a lot when I go down there, but it's been 3 years.
Yeah, and the other thing too is there's probably a lot of things that I'm not touching upon that maybe you didn't know, but if you have any questions, I'm sure Eunice probably and James feel the same way. If you want to drop us a line, if we're not already friends on Facebook, you can send me a friend request or whatever, and you could drop me a line, ask me any questions. If I don't answer right away, I can be super busy, but I think what you'll see is that San Diego is a really fun and beautiful place. There's all kinds of fun things to do. I would put another pitch in for Balboa Park as being just a cool place to see. And then, but all of it's cool, but at the same time, you're there for the con. So enjoy the con and just know that the San Diego folks are one of the things in hosting the con is we're going to try to make this as friendly as possible and easy enough for you guys to get around and to do other things, because And I just really appreciate, I know when I've been visiting in other towns, I really like, stuff spelled out really easily for me. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this. So, yeah. Oh, Robin's planning a family trip up the coast after the con. That sounds cool. Yeah, there are really cool, fun things to do. You can see the the nuclear power plant with that looks like boobs that you saw in Naked City. It's right off the freeway. That'll be the first thing you see. And then when you get up to, and there's all kinds of fun really history too. And if you're going up to LA, make sure you stop in and see Dark Delicacies and check out like the fun horror stuff that is
We
there.
didn't talk about Mysterious Galaxy, going to Mysterious Galaxy. The
Oh,
book.
yeah,
can't
the
leave that out.
bookstores. We did
'Cause-
mention, yeah.
Yeah, because
So
they're the store for the con, right?
right. So Mysterious Galaxy is the all sci-fi horror and mystery themed bookstore that is in Point Loma. It's on the way, it's off the bus line on the way to Ocean Beach. It's a beautiful store. It's an amazing store. Rob, who kind of curates the horror section, is yeah, everybody loves Rob. Rob does an amazing job of getting horror books on the shelf. So, and there's lots of signed copies because almost every author comes through and does Mysterious Galaxy. So there's tons of signed books. So it's another reason to go there. The only thing I will caution you on is going to the bus at Mysterious Galaxy, the Midway District, which is the area that it's around, is super sketchy. Do not go to Mysterious Galaxies on the bus at night.
Take the trolley to Old Town and then Uber over. It's only a couple of miles.
It's not even that. It's a very short distance.
You probably-
It's only 2 bus stops if you take the bus. But my recommendation is do not do it at night. And I speak from experience that the Midway District is very sketchy at night. It has a close proximity to and I not to generalize, but there's a lot of social services and mental health services that are in the area, and for that reason there's a lot of people walking around. It's also near the river trail where a lot of homeless encampments are, and so the combination of these things, I definitely recommend do not be walking around that area at night. That being said, if you take the bus there during the day, it's fine. It's very dark and there's not a lot of people out there. There's no police patrols, so it could I'm just telling you that I feel very sketchy walking around that area at night by myself. So yeah, but Mysterious Galaxy is an amazing bookstore, and like I said, they're gonna have tons of signed books, and it's the official bookstore. And there are lots of good used bookstores in San Diego. There's Verbatim, Footnote Books, and Hillcrest is great. There's a rom-com romance themed bookstore in North Park. People are into that. Called Meet Cute, yeah. And they have all kinds of signings too for romance authors. So if you're into that, that's a fun place to visit. And then there's one in South Park too. I haven't been there, but I've heard it's great. And I don't expect people to travel to this, but there's a guy in National City who's way down by the border who runs a trucking company, and he has this insane horror collection that he sells out of this truck stop. And he has horror collectibles and all these things. And he had an event for Halloween, and Cody and I went and sold books at it. And I don't know what to tell you about this place. It's the weirdest place, but this guy has a lot of really rare and weird horror stuff. So I think he's going to be dealing at the dealer's room at Stokercon. So you won't have to go down there, but that's an interesting thing that we have here. I don't remember the name of the guy's store, but it's weird. Like, he has all kinds of really amazing he has an entire thing of Del Abyss, like rare paperbacks from hell, like on the shelf. So yeah. And yeah, James, got a good, like, I feel bad because I did a sign, I sold books at his shop in October for Halloween, but yeah, so that's fun stuff. So, all right, anything else? I think we can wrap up.
Yeah, I want to say hi to James, hi to Eunice, and Eunice, thanks for working with me to get me on here.
Strange.
Never would have made it without your help.
Yeah, and we'll have I'll post the video on my YouTube so people can see it and
All right.
listen, take notes if they want to. And if you have additional questions, ask it in the comments of the video and I'll find it there. So
And put the link on the
I'll put the link on the Stokercon and the SD HWA boards, and please share it around with people who say like, oh, I'm sorry I missed that. I know WonderCon was happening right now. Like a lot of our local membership were doing panels at WonderCon today. So, you know, a lot of, but yeah. And Robin, what part of Indiana are you from? Do you mind? You can say in the chat or unmute. I'm just interested. So it doesn't have to do with anything. But.
Hi, I live in Bloomington currently, but I grew up in Southern Indiana.
Well, Bloomington is my hometown, and I'm doing a book release party for my book in Bloomington next Sunday. So.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, we went to school here. I met my husband here. Feels like a million years ago, but we're back for a while.
Yeah, my novel People's Park is about Bloomington. So.
Where are you going to be next week?
The Monroe County History Center.
Oh, I know where that is.
Yeah, and it will 1:00 next week. So.
Nice.
Highly recommend. Of course, I want people there, but it's being co-hosted by D. Harlan Wilson, who's a really great author too. So
Awesome, thank you.
yeah, and I promise if lots of people show up to the event, I will block out the sun the next day.
Oh, you're so good.
Yeah, but on that note, everyone, I'm excited to meet people at Stokercon. So unless I can meet them next week in Indiana, and I'm really excited for everyone to have this experience in San Diego. And it's a really cool town. I love it here, and I'm really excited to share the city with the horror community. So, and I know Eunice and James, we all feel the same way. We're all very excited that San Diego is home to Stokercon this year. So long overdue. So on that note, I'm going to stop recording unless anyone last call. Yeah, Marissa, I'm glad we could help. So on that, I'm going to stop recording.